love when coaches, consultants, and professional service providers want to do big things in their business. They want to rise to the top and influence their market and the world around them. They want to have a greater impact and make a more lucrative income. Well, if this is you, welcome to Expert in You podcast, the show where I interview other experts and coaches, consultants, so that they can share their success strategies with you. We're going to talk about marketing and how to close more sales, how to get more premium clients, and how to really build your visibility in the market and scale your business like a boss. If this is you, welcome to the show. I want to ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell right now so you don't miss one episode. Grab your coffee and buckle up because we are ready to give it all to you to help you become the expert and get paid as the expert that you are. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Expert in You podcast. I'm your host, Ann Carden, and I am so excited to be back with you again this week as I dive into a conversation with the amazing Colin Sanburg. And Colin is the founder of FinElevate. He is helping businesses elevate their finances. He is a strategic coach, and he has a lot of things going on. So, Colin, I'm excited to have you with me today. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ann. I appreciate it.
Great. Why don't we just start by just telling everyone a little bit about your backstory, how you got to where you are, and exactly what you're doing and who you help.
Yeah, sure. So, I'm a multi-business owner, and I got into my first business was kind of a turnaround project. I was not really qualified for that at the time, but it's funny how life will throw things at you, and you pick yourself up and you keep going, and suddenly you have new capabilities.
Everything gets used.
That's right. So, so my first business was kind of a turnaround and really a financial turnaround. And that really set the stage for my entire career. Once I transitioned out of being CEO of that company, I hired another person to be CEO. I started investing in other companies, and I always played, I would say, almost like a financially oriented board member is probably the easiest way to explain it. And so somewhat active within the business, but strictly on that finance side. And so that just kind of set the stage as I got to know a lot of other entrepreneurs through masterminds and just friendships. And I was always, I realized later how kind of rare or unusual it was to be an entrepreneur who loved the finance part. Most entrepreneurs are really passionate about their product. They're really excited to talk to people about it, which is sales. But they don't necessarily love the numbers and the spreadsheets and that side. So
until they learn it.
Yeah, and that's true.
Yeah, I think once they learn it, I know this was true for me many years ago. Once I learned it and you realize it's a driver to your business, it becomes very exciting to understand the financial side. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I love that. And that's part of what I'm passionate about in the company I'm working on now is helping kind of connect those things for other entrepreneurs. So as I became that within my own friend group, network, became the guy people called on with financial questions and just want another business owner's perspective who really, thought a lot about and got finance. It just kind of created the seed, I guess, that eventually became my current company, which is FinElevate. I still own 3 other companies, but this one is the one I'm working in every day. And basically we're a subset of like a fractional CFO. We describe ourselves as profitability consultants. So we're really helping companies first and foremost get more profit out of whether they're trying to, meet new levels of profit. Grow profitably is a big one. People grow and then they find out that they're not actually making as much money. Right. So whichever of those challenges they're currently facing, that's a huge part of what we dive in and help with. I love it. And there's so many great strategies. You and I have similar backgrounds in the fact that I've done a lot of business turnarounds and built a lot of businesses and all of that as well. And I love too when you can go in and you can give them these powerful strategies that can completely shift their money and their finances. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing. But you wouldn't really call yourself you're really, when you say you're more on the financial side, I do know you also do some strategic coaching with them. How would you separate yourself from like a business coach or someone that would call themselves a business coach?
That's a great question. So again, I would say that your average business coach or your typical fractional CFO type is much more of the here's a big picture strategy that you can implement. and then good luck. And we'll talk next month and see how it went. And that's what I really built FinElevate to be the opposite of, because I know from my own experience, the things I was capable of implementing myself and the things I was passionate about implementing myself, when I would work with a coach, it was very effective. But if I worked in a coach outside of my comfort zone, then the implementation fell off dramatically once the coach left the room. Right. And so what we want to do is actually be involved in the business, helping solve these problems. And so that's really where we differentiate is, number one, we're in the business helping solve it. Number two, most small businesses don't need a big, complicated strategy. That's not what actually works. We know that, a simple plan, well executed, is what wins. Right. And so
that guidance and support all along. I hate to say hand-holding because that sounds so bad, but realistically, and accountability, that is really what they need, that ongoing guidance and support. Yeah.
And especially as you're taking on things that are outside of your natural comfort zone, right? Then that's where another set of eyes, a reassuring voice, somebody else who says, yep, that's what we expected. This is still working to plan. And that really helps people as they develop that confidence.
Yeah, I love it. So how many do you have on your team, Colin, and how many businesses can you work with at a time? And how do you also set yourself apart from like CPAs and accountants and people that are really in that space?
So we've got 5 on our team, and, we can work with, a couple dozen clients at a time at our current size. And that's generally where we keep it, but we're also growing. We're always adding people. One of the exciting things, and so I'll put this in the context of the difference between us and like your CPA or someone like that. Those people are generally wired around their particular field. And so your CPA, the really good CPAs, if you make a lot of money, they'll help you not pay so many taxes on it. Right. And so that's a great CPA, is like, hey, I made a ton of money. Help me figure out how to not give it all to Uncle Sam. What we do that's different is obviously on the front end, helping people make more money. We want to create problems for your CPA. That's when we know we're doing a good job. And we can help direct you to CPAs that we love, that we've worked with, that we really admire, and who do an amazing job of that, who use the best methodology. But the other piece is we have a playbook that we use. So we're not just, this is not me showing up or one of our other team members showing up and just saying like, well, I read an article last week. I'm inspired by this. You tell me what's going on in your business and I'll fire an idea at you. Right. I've worked with advisors like that in the past who just kind of shoot from the hip. That's not what you need. You need a steady hand. And the way we've developed that is, I went through and did an extensive study, built a 450 playbook that is everything conceivable you could do from a financial standpoint to improve your business. And we use a dashboard that's a simplified dashboard we call the FinScore. It's a report card for your business. Everybody knows a report card, 100 is better than a 70. So to help people not get lost in all the financial details, we built a simplified scorecard. And then our playbook is just, how do you get from a 70 to an 80, from an 80 to an 85? How do we keep making progress? And the next play is kind of natural based on the goals you've talked about with us.
I love it. That's great. So do you have a software that kind of backs up that you all created, or how do you deliver that?
Yes. So we have a software that we built that basically is the dashboard, is a display. Right now it's working with QuickBooks Online predominantly.
Okay.
We're also developing it for Xero, which is an alternative online accounting software. And the idea is, we want to work with kind of meet clients where they are and give them their own numbers. And then I'll say, you mentioned this earlier about developing that love for the financial side. What I have found is that every business owner knows the story of their business in terms of the way they experience it. Where they kind of start to run into challenges is when you show them a sea of numbers and say, this is your business. And they're like, I don't see the story here. So what we love to do, and the way I like to teach it, is to kind of bring it back to the story, and start pointing to the financials and say, when you experience this, there it is reflected. When you knew this was a good week, a good month, or you felt like you had too many people or not enough people, here's how we can show that that was actually happening within the numbers, and start to tie that together and connect those dots. And as that happens, people get really excited. Like you said, they get really excited by feeling confident in their ability to run their business and use numbers in a way they've never been able to before.
I love that. That's such a great way to look at it and such a great way to really help your clients, different from what a lot of people are out there doing. And the other thing too, when I ask you, because I know a lot of people, when you're talking about profitability, a lot of CPAs, would say, well, you're kind of stepping on our toes, right? Or accountants would say you're kind of stepping on our toes. That's what we do. We do strategic planning with businesses and we help them be more profitable. But if I understand what you do, which it was very similar to what I did, you have strategies that are outside the scope of a CPA. And you're using those financials just to help them run a better business. Whereas CPA is more about what happened in the past. You are more about here's where you're going and here's the steps and what you need to do and what the numbers need to be to get there and to make that happen. Would you say that's accurate?
Absolutely. So a lot of the changes that we advocate for and that we work with our clients on implementing are somewhat behavioral changes. They may be a change in the way you go about sales or the way you go about operations. They all have a financial impact, right? We're asking our clients to measure us on the increase in profits. But sometimes that increase in profits comes from tying your data together better, right? We have one client, we were just doing a big project in Monday.com to get their data that they knew it operationally. They knew that operational story, but they were speaking a different language in sales. And then their finances are just pure numbers, right? And so we had to tie it together and create, kind of the Rosetta Stone of here's a language and a translator that makes all of this make sense. And now you can start to train the team on that. And what we ultimately want is a company that can be run by the management team, not just the owner. And most owners are, if they're, hopefully they can get themselves to that level, but they don't know it well enough to train the next level. And that's a huge part of what we do.
What size businesses do you typically work with? And is there a specialized area or industry where you all work?
So we typically work with companies that are 1 million plus in revenue. There are some exceptions to that, but that's typical. And then, interestingly, with the industries, the path to profit is pretty much universal. Yes, there are some intricacies depending on the industry that you're in and depending on the business. I would say the business model much more so than the industry. In other words, what's your revenue model? Right. Are you a product-based or service-based business? Some of those kind of big differentiators.
Do you work with one or the other, or do you work with both?
No, we work across all. In fact, interestingly, a lot of our clients right now are digital marketing agencies, but I came from manufacturing. And so, and I've got an industrial distribution company. So, and another one that's another manufacturer. So it, like, our background and my experience and our ability to help are not really necessarily the same.
Gotcha. So, and how do you typically bring on your clients? How do you get your clients? What are the ways that you're building your business? I know people always love to peek under the hood and see what owners are doing.
Yeah. So, I mean, some of it is obviously networking. That's, just understanding.
So you go out and physically network?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm big in EOS. I'm really passionate about EOS. I'm really passionate about strategic coach. So it's really just more of like my business network that I've built over many years. Again, I love mastermind groups and connecting with other entrepreneurs, whether I'm going to do business with them or not. I'm not a networker for sales per se, but you develop the right connections and relationships and reputation, and then opportunities come. So that's one. And then, we're launching a Facebook group, which I'm excited about because that's a way that we can deliver some value to clients who want to gather there. Maybe they're clients, maybe they're prospects, maybe they're just there to get some value of, what are some profit tips? What are some, QuickBooks online tips, that sort of thing. And so I'm excited about that. And then, some of what's worked, believe it or not, is just good old school cold email. We've done some cold email that, with the right messaging, and we know that's not a high percentage game, but if you send out enough volume and you, add value. So we've dabbled in a lot of little things and it's generally been good.
Tell us a great story about a client.
Oh, great story about a client. So we've got a client, and one thing that I'll always advocate for, I was kind of talking about speaking that same language. I'll tell that story. So I've got a client, they sell videos in the marketing space, and they've got some big projects that are 20 videos and some little projects that are one short, small video. And in their sales team was very focused around, how many different prospects and what type of companies they are, and thinking about more of the big picture of what my sales pipeline looks like. Their ops team was just, head down trying to get these videos completed. Mm-hmm. And then their finances were, really just, again, a set of numbers. And so the owner saw the numbers, but didn't really know how they related back to, this operations side. The ops team just didn't even want to really hear about the sales pipeline, because like a lot of operations team, if they're not speaking our language, just kind of,
they're technicians. Yes.
Yeah. And it becomes that, wah, kind of the old peanuts thing. Right. And so, what we did was, and what was really cool is we stitched together and we said, okay, look, the common unit of measure, what I call common sizing for the business, is videos, right? And so we need to focus everything we do on videos. So we need to be able to see the sales pipeline in videos. We need to see the operations in videos, and we need to see ultimately, how many videos did we get done last week, last month, and what do the financials say? And what's so powerful about that is that everyone in the company knew about video production. Once we started to gather the data and really give them the data in a way that they could say, like, definitively, if I took 25% of this video and 50% of this video and this entire video, which is what we got done last week, and I put all that together and aggregate it, I know exactly how many videos I got done last week. And that became a rallying cry for their team to get more and more efficient on, like, how do we get more videos done? How do we set a new record for this number of videos? And then when we look back at the financials, to be able to say, look, last month you did X number of videos and the average price per video is this, average labor per video is this, average, right? And so then I can take that same common size and run it all the way down the length of the P&L. And even if you wanted to take it over into, how many videos are in AR, how many videos worth of cash do we have, right? It starts to give us a different way to look at everything in a language the team already understands. So it allows us to really build up the financial acumen of the whole team.
Very nice. So what was the impact for them?
Oh, I mean, it's dramatic. I don't, obviously won't talk about their specific numbers, but they have, in the time they've worked with us, doubled or tripled their profitability.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And they're a relatively short-term client so far. And it's the impact's been dramatic because you just unlock all those obstacles. And I would say the analogy that I like is, imagine your business before you had a dedicated salesperson, and then think of your business now in terms of the way it approaches sales. And it's night and day. And so we want to be that, we wake up every day worrying about profit, and any obstacle between us and profit, we've got to figure out how to get around, get over, get through it, destroy it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And I love the way you broke that down too. And just to kind of clarify for people out there listening to this is, these are things that a lot of times the owners, quite honestly, either don't know to do, they don't know how to do it, or they don't have time to even think about it. Exactly. They're just trying to run the show, right? They're just trying to run everything. And so for somebody to dive in and really dissect their business in the way that you just described, that's the value. And there is not a CPA that will do that. I just want to bring that up. Most CPAs they're just not wired that way, and they don't have the strategies or the insight to do that. They're sort of like the big picture. You have to make sure your cost of goods is this, and you have to make sure, your gross profits are this. And so they're really good about that. And even watching how much are you putting into your marketing and how much are you putting into payroll, but they don't dissect your business in the way that Colin described it. So it's really important to understand the difference there and how someone like Colin can make such an impact in a business with that, because there's not even a lot of people out there, Colin, that really are doing it to the degree that you are. So I love this. I love what you're doing. You're actually kind of singing my song. It was one of the things that I did always when I would work with small business owners, is just really deep dive and figure out what's working, what's not working, what can work better, and putting those strategies in place. So good stuff, really good stuff.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited about it.
Hey, it's Ann here, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have to ask you, would you like to level up and scale up your coaching or consulting business and go into that $500,000, $1 million or beyond, maybe even in the next year? Well, if it's a big yes for you, then I want to invite you to apply to my next free 2-day virtual event. You do not want to miss this. These are the same strategies I use in my business and the same strategies I teach my high-paying clients so that they can have explosive growth and do it with a premium business. So go apply now, because I have had people make money right out of my free workshops. All you need to do is go to expertinyouworkshop.com, apply to attend, and I'll see you on the inside. Now back to the show.
Yeah. So what's your big plan for your business? How big do you see that your company? Are you looking to grow this into something massive? Are you looking to stay boutique? What is sort of your goal? I think it's important for people to know visions of different entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So I like, I don't look for gigantic, but I definitely think there's so many, potential clients that we can help. And it excites me just to really scale this and help more people. So that's definitely what I'm passionate about. I think there's a large mid-sized company is kind of, depending on how you define that, is kind of a limit to me. I never want to be a giant company. I have too much passion about, working in small to mid-sized businesses. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's exciting. And again, the way we deliver it, we have a very well orchestrated playbook. And that playbook makes what we're doing much more scalable than we have to hire a hotshot CFO type who has certain experience. And then we have, this one knows manufacturing and this one knows whatever. That's not the model. We're not a collection of high price consultants. That's not the way we believe, because going back to your point, it's the implementation that wins in the end. And so we're actually in people's software, making updates to the way their software is gathering information. And that's part of how we leverage our playbook. So
how did you get the tech background to do, the software and some of the things that you're doing? I didn't really hear you mention a tech background.
No, I really don't. And so that's, a lot of that's just been hiring the right people, putting myself around the right people. And I'll say, as we all know, technology is changing so rapidly. There's never been, if you haven't noticed,
even get out email, it just changed. I'm like,
Exactly. No, I mean, it's never been easier to kind of connect things in ways. So it's not so much starting from scratch and building from a blank canvas. It's a lot more of stitching together, just using good quality connectors to make things talk. That's a huge part of it.
So good. How do you stay cutting edge, or how do you stay at the top of your game besides being a reader? If you are watching this on YouTube, you would see like a slew of books behind him. So you can tell that he's a reader. But what are some suggestions that you have for people to stay at the top of their game and really keep that advantage?
I think the number one thing is, and this isn't that exciting, but the number one thing in my mind is taking the time to think.
So good. So
yeah.
true.
And so to your point, I'm passionate about reading. I've usually got an audiobook that every time I get in my car or anytime I'm on a walk or whatever is going, I got other books I'm reading, some with the highlighter. Some
How many at a time? Let's be honest here.
Usually 3 or 4 at a time.
Sound like me. I'm the same way.
I just can't help it. There's too many good things to learn, right? But, and so, and obviously we know part of that's probably because we're in this really chaotic era of our culture, right? Of our humanity, there's so much information. It's coming so fast, can get delivered in so many kind of push formats that you just almost sit back and it's like drinking from a fire hose. Sometimes you have to just step aside and take a moment and think. And it's amazing, that breath of fresh air, how illuminating it can be, for your business and just your life and your goals.
Oh, I love that. That's such a great takeaway for people too. And probably something that I don't even talk about enough, but it is something that I've always done in all my businesses. I can remember when I would go away for the weekend, we have some property and we have a camper. And so I would go where there's no internet or anything in that place. And I would go and just really disconnect. And I would get my best ideas and my best vision and new things that I was going to implement. And I would go back to my employees. Okay, here's what we're going to do. And they went, you went to the camper again, didn't you?
Yep. Yeah.
Like, yes, it's quiet. There's just no distraction. And so they always knew, and they're like, oh my gosh. And it's just, it is so important though. There's even, it's so many times now, even in my business, I say, okay, I just need thinking time. I just need to think about my next big moves, where I want to go. And like you said earlier too, and I think this is a really important point that Colin brought up, is you don't need some big, long strategic plan. When you're an entrepreneur, you know, you're not corporate, right? So you need something that you can execute on. And I love to say, you know, a year out, 9 months, like, and then break it down by quarter, then break it down by month, break it down by week, and even by day. That's not a difficult plan to follow.
Yep.
But a lot of people don't even do that. And so it's why they're all over the place, why they're distracted and they're all over the place. So when you're helping people sort of set that vision or set up that plan, what's sort of your process there?
You know, I mentioned it earlier. I'm a big fan of EOS, you know, Entrepreneurial Operating System. And the reason is because it's a framework. It doesn't tell you what to do. It just kind of tells you how to go about organizing your work. Just like you said, having a consistent plan that you follow over and over again, whether it's the meeting structure or the, you know, what they call IDS, and basically creating rocks, quarterly rocks. So I'm a big fan of quarterly rocks. I mean, I think for the average business, you know, really thinking deeply about where we're going to be in a year and what would it take for us to actually achieve that goal. Having a 3-year plan, but to your point, a 3 or 10-year plan can be a little hazy. It doesn't have to be perfectly mapped out. It does not need to be
and things change a lot.
Exactly. You're not going to make it if you try and pick an exact destination. Right. Half the time you won't want to have made it to that exact destination by the time you get there. So
yeah,
just
so true.
But really focusing on that 1 year and then saying like, okay, if I'm going to hit this in 2024, January, February, March, Q1 has to accomplish this big, heavy piece. And thinking about that quarterly rock. And then to your point, that naturally flows into, okay, if I'm going to hit that, what do I have to do in January?
Right.
And I love what you said. I mean, breaking it down into smaller pieces and thinking through the reality of the obstacles, anticipating it's not going to just flow easily. And that helps you build a more realistic plan and keep yourself on kind of a disciplined track.
And I think that's such an important point you brought up too, being realistic. Where people really get hung up is a lot of times they know where they want to go. They even the big rocks, they even know what those are. But where entrepreneurs really get stuck, and I talk about this all the time, and even with clients that I work with, they really get stuck in the execution. And like you said, the obstacles, the things along the way, the challenges, they've never been here before. They've never been through that before. And so they really struggle to execute. And a lot of times they'll quit or they'll go a completely different direction and not stick with what their original plan was. And that is a dangerous thing to do in a business because you'll never get traction like that. So just know that that is the value of people working with someone like you, people working with someone like me, is to have that sort of hand-holding that can help you really execute the plan well and not get stuck and not get stuck in the weeds, so to speak. But you still have to go through the weeds.
So, Yeah, no, you have to know what you're in for and understand but to your point, you know, having surrounded yourself with the right people, having that type of support around you, and then you've got the fallback plan, right? Is like, okay, I ran into another obstacle. I'm going to call Ann. Like, this is just, I've got an option here that I can utilize. And if you know you have that, it's amazing how much more confident people are to actually be bold and go for it.
It's like you have somebody in your back pocket.
Yeah.
You've been around for a lot of years, Colin, building businesses. I have been as well. I don't know, 30 something years. I didn't always have available what we have available today. I mean, I can remember if I wanted to learn something, I had to get in a magazine and buy a course, you know, some sort of a big CD course or some, actually way back when it was like cassette tapes. And so, you know, it's important to know that, yes, you have access to a lot of things in the marketplace today. And there's nothing that Colin knows or that I know that is probably different from what you could Google or now pull up on AI or whatever. But that isn't where the magic is. It's having someone be able to see what you can't see. It's having someone know what you don't know. I mean, if we think about even AI, you have to give it the right prompts to get out the right output, right? Or what you're trying to accomplish. Well, if you don't even know what you don't know, how can you put in the right prompts? And so it's deeper than just information. It's deeper than just, oh, let me Google this. Let me read a book. Oh, I think I've got this. It just goes so much deeper than that. So I think people need coaches and consultants and people that can guide them in their business more now than ever before.
I agree.
Because things are moving so fast.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think that's true, whether it's on the social side or on the business side. In a world where technology has become so prevalent, it's almost unavoidable that human connection has never been more valuable.
True.
And I think you're absolutely right. That's true when we kind of look at navigating information. And I'll also say, and I'm sure you would agree with this, the most successful people that I know that I've met, and certainly all the ones you can go and look up and read about, every one of them uses extensive coaching, hire people. They're always looking to leverage someone else's knowledge and experience to get them further ahead faster.
Yes.
And so that's, I've always subscribed to that. Even before that was kind of a popular opinion, it just seemed like it made sense. And of course, at the time I was young and didn't know anything. So, it felt like there was a world of things to figure out. But yeah, I think that's a huge kind of cheat code that people can tap into and should.
I just want to hit on that because one of the things that I talk about is people that are on a track for success. They are looking for people that can get them there faster. One of the big things in marketing, I know you see it, I see it, is all about selling the pain, sell the pain, sell the pain. And, initially people might come to you for that, but a lot of times are those really the people you want to work with? Or do you want to work with the people that are more success-minded, growth-minded? They're on this course and they want speed. Yep. They want the shortcut. All the things that we talk about. And so it's a different philosophy from what a lot of people from the marketing that you see out there. And yes, you can get those now buyers. I sold a lot of, let's get people out of pain. Let's turn them around. They're bleeding money. I sold a lot of things like that. But what I found is even as I worked with the clients and got them great results, they still didn't have a growth mindset. They still weren't always on a course for higher success. They were just still in the mindset of, I need to get through this next thing and this next thing and this next thing. And highly successful people don't think that way.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's, as they say, that's who you want to spend your time around.
That's right. The cheat
whether
code.
Whether that's on your team, whether that's somebody you're partnered with, whether that's your clients you work with. I mean, that's who you want to surround yourself with.
100%. This has been so fun. How can people get a hold of you, Colin? You obviously are so great at what you do. What's the next step for people?
Yeah. So you can always reach me on our website, which is just FinElevate.com, or look me up on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn quite a bit. Everybody is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm on there all the time, posting and interacting. I got a ton of connections and just really enjoy, meeting new people. So whether somebody thinks they're a perfect candidate or not, I'm always happy to connect.
And one thing we didn't talk about is how do you kind of work with your clients? Do you work with them for a certain amount of time, or how do you do that?
Yeah, so it's a monthly process. Is basically the way we operate. We don't have any sort of lengthy contract or kind of gotcha terms on anything. But some clients work with us in a much more hands-on way, and then they kind of scale back to a little bit more of a guidance and kind of continue to utilize our dashboards. And some just, especially if they're continuing to grow, create new challenges, right? As we know, success creates new challenges.
Yes.
So yeah, we're always here for the next round as well.
I love that. I have a friend who is a brilliant business coach, and one of the best I've seen. And he used to have this thing. He'd say, in business, if you push it over here, it wiggles over here. And I thought, that's so true, right? Everything that you touch in business is going to impact something else, and so that can also be a challenge. So I don't know, just an afterthought there. But go ahead and connect with Colin. Thank you so much, and book a call with him if you have a need for his services. And I know that he's just doing such great things with his clients. So Colin, thank you so much for being here. It's been quite a pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Ann. I appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Until next time, If you need some help with your profitability, contact Colin for sure. And if you need some help really building your influence in the market and growing your coaching, consulting, or professional service business into those higher levels, then reach out to me and let's take a look at your business and see how you can bring in high caliber clients and play in blue ocean to build a lucrative business. You have an amazing day. God bless you. Until next time, bye-bye.
If you've enjoyed this show, then I want to invite you to check out a free automated webinar where I show you how you can bring in ultra high fee clients for $25,000 to $125,000 or even more. I show you how you can do this maybe even in the next 7 to 60 days. So if you want to check out that free webinar, just go to expertinyouaccelerator.com and I'll see you on the inside. You have an amazing day, and until next time, God bless you. Go rock your business.